Hello, friends. We love and admire Mother Nature. But sometimes, she unleashes her powerful wrath on us, sweeping away everything in her path with a destructive force. In this regard, we have nothing left to do but to study natural phenomenon even more deeply to be able to predict them and escape them in time. Locusts only seem harmless. They are called the most devastating migratory pest in the world. And that's for a good reason. A swarm covering an area of 1 square kilometer can eat as much food in one day as would be enough to feed 35,000 people. As the number of locusts increases, these insects turn from harmless single individuals into terrible multi-million swarms, destroying precious pastures and crops. The largest outbreak of these pests happened in East Africa. The locust flew from Kenya through Ethiopia and Yemen, reaching as far as northern India. The swarm included many young individuals, which are more voracious. The sky was black with locusts. The invasion was the worst in the last 70 years, and it deprived the locals of most of the crops. Entomologists saw this as kind of a warning from nature. And this is an absolute record: 74 tornadoes in less than a day. This is the way nature raged in the states of Kansas and Oklahoma in 1999. 4 tornadoes were recorded on the ground at the same time. The strongest, an F5 tornado, the maximum possible intensity, lasted for an hour and a half. When the sky cleared, 800 people were found injured and more than 8,000 houses were damaged. The total damage amounted to almost $1.5 billion. However, there were fewer losses than there could have been. Scientists from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, the National Severe Storms Laboratory, and the Meteorological Service had foreseen and predicted the tornado. The funds spent on the modernization of the National Weather Service paid off in one go. Researchers estimate that more than 600 lives were saved as a result of people getting a timely and accurate warning of the impending danger. In the next episode, we will tell you about a seemingly incredible phenomenon, a snake shower. The most famous shower of this kind occurred in America in early 1877. Snakes fell from the sky onto the streets of Memphis. The locals were horrified and even considered it a heavenly punishment. However, scientists managed to come up with an explanation for this phenomenon. Most often, objects or animals falling from the sky are associated with tornadoes and typhoons. The energy of these natural anomalies is directed upwards, and the force of the wind picks up everything from the ground, sucking it into the air funnel. Gradually, the power of the tornado subsides, making everything that was in the whirlwind epicenter fall to the ground. Most often, this happens a few dozen kilometers away from where it started. Hail in Russia in 2014. That year, the weather in most of Russia was unusually extreme. It suddenly started snowing in a few central regions in the summer. The hail in Novosibirsk forced beachgoers to drop everything and seek shelter. The footage shows how vacationers are trying to escape from a sudden strong wind with hail that came over them. The temperature at the moment dropped from +40 to +20 degrees Celsius. You can hear people screaming, because the blows from such hail can even leave hematomas. The relentless hurricane seemed to last forever. Fortunately, no one was hurt. The Great 1556 earthquake in China is considered the deadliest in the history of the country. It hit the Shanxi province and is estimated to have killed 830,000 people. Such an incredible number of victims was caused by the fact that most of the population in that area lived in caves that collapsed after the first shocks. Those that survived were later flooded with mud flows. Winters in the early 20th century in Minnesota, North America were really tough. The winter of 1936 was the worst. It actually was one of the coldest in North American history. Freezing temperatures gripped the eastern United States in December. In the state of Florida, the temperature reached a record low of -46 degrees Celsius. In some places, it even dropped to -65 degrees Celsius due to strong winds. It was dangerous to stay outside. People experienced difficulties due to car failures, train service disruption, and power outages. The winter was so cold that the locals still talk about it. The largest natural disaster in recorded history was the flood in China in 1931. It was caused by a large amount of precipitation, which made the Yangtze River overflow its banks. The water flooded almost 180,000 square kilometers and turned the Yangtze into what looked like a giant lake. Current estimations put the death toll at around 2 million people. But some agencies, including the NOAA, claim it could actually be as high as 3.7 million. Do you think that a spider shower is a fantastic phenomenon? In fact, millions of spiders rain down on Australia. They catch the wind with their web, like on a hot air balloon, as they travel to their new home and cover the area with their web as they go. Witnessing this natural phenomenon is definitely something that I would try to avoid. It may inspire a science fiction writer, but it's actually a common part of spider migration. Scientists have known about it since the times of Darwin. Such ballooning has been seen outside of Australia too. It was also recorded in the Northern Hemisphere. Flying spiders have been seen in the US and the UK. However, it is pretty rare. These spiders do not pose any danger to humans. They have no control over their direction of their movement, but can travel many miles. This explains why spiders can be found all over the world, even on islands in the middle of the ocean. Perhaps the cold is not all that scary if it does not lead to more serious consequences. It got very cold in Florida in January. Residents were asked to be aware of large green lizards that could fall from the trees. As predicted, the temperature drop caused the fall of iguanas. Yes, that's also possible. Iguanas get their energy from the heat of the sun, and such cold weather makes them freeze. They just aren't adapted to winter. When the temperature drops, these cold-blooded creatures become immobile. They can no longer cling to the trees and thus simply fall down from them. Don't worry, the iguanas don't die. Their body continues to perform basic functions during the winter. One could say that they hibernate. This is their way of protecting against low temperatures. When it gets warmer, they come alive again. A deadly hornet invasion. At the end of 2019 in Washington state, unusual hornets with orange and black stripes and long stingers were spotted. These were huge Asian hornets, or murder hornets, the largest in the world. They grow up to 5 centimeters long. Researchers are still racking their brains as to how these insects ended up in America. Most likely, the hornets accidentally got into shipping containers. Asian giant hornets from Japan and East Asia have already proven themselves as a predatory species in other countries, such as South Korea. This species forms colonies consisting of one queen and workers that fly many kilometers from the hive to find food. They feed on a variety of insects, but they prefer bees. In fact, they can wipe out entire honeybee hives in a few hours. So it is no wonder that their appearance alarmed US beekeepers. A tornado is something that you should definitely stay away from. It can scare even the most experienced skippers. A tornado is formed above the water, or starts as an ordinary storm on land, and then it passes to the water's surface, causing the air to swirl horizontally. The swirling movement raises a column of water from the sea. It is an incredible sight. A spiral that can be seen emerging from the sea and rising towards the sky. This footage was taken off the coast of Valencia, Spain. The tornado approaches the shore, terrifying the local residents and tourists. In the video, the meteorologist claims that nothing like this has happened in more than 10 years. If a tornado moves towards the shore, the National Weather Service issues a warning about it and the possible damage. Well, that's all for today, friends. Feel free to comment on the episode and let us know if you've ever witnessed some kind of a natural disaster. Give the video a thumbs up. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.